I wanted to kick off the new year by sharing some of my favorite pieces of gear that I've picked up and that I've been using in 2022. And these are all things that I'm excited to continue using into the new year. And although I do have to say that I've gotten pretty comfortable with just using the gear that I own, I haven't been making many changes, and that's why I haven't been doing these sort of monthly type of videos, but now rather it's over the course of a year. The first thing I want to talk about is the 150mm lens for the Mamiya 7. This is certainly not the single lens that I'd leave my house with and shoot every photo with from here on out, but it is a lens that I find myself throwing in my crossbody bag every time I'm going out to take photos with the Mamiya 7, because it truly does, unlike switching from like an 80 to a 65, switching from an 80 to a 150 gives you a completely different perspective. That's what I like about this lens. It's for very specific, tight crops of photos. I think over the past year, I've gotten some very cool images with this lens. Sometimes it's just not possible to move closer, so zooming in with something like this is really nice. I tend to use it almost exclusively on a tripod because of the fact that the focusing needs to be really precise, and my Mamiya 7 needs a rangefinder calibration, so I just set this thing to f32 and zone focus it and shoot it on a tripod. But it's a beautiful lens. You can get some really cool crops with this thing, and I've been carrying this with me every time I shoot with my Mamiya 7. Speaking of something to carry this in is our long weekend fanny pack. This was part of our second collection, and I just wanted to throw it in here because it is something that I truly use every single day, and it's perfect for carrying something like this 150 or carrying a point and shoot with a couple rolls of film or just your phone, wallet, keys. Everything fits in here. It's amazing for just a daily carry bag, and I'm proud of the fact that I do use my own products constantly. So just wanted to throw that in there quick. Up next, I want to talk about the Fuji GFX because I have had a ton of questions about this camera ever since I posted my first video with it. It's a camera that has fit just really nicely into my workflow in terms of filling the gap that film can't really do. I'm using this more so for commercial projects and assignments when things need a quicker turnaround, or I just need to see the photos right away as I'm shooting them, because sometimes you have like an hour and you really can't afford to mess things up. This gives me peace of mind, and I know that the images out of here are always gonna be sharp. The colors are really nice, and I can edit them to fit in with the rest of my film work. And one project that you may have seen on Instagram that I wanna share a little bit more about that I shot with the GFX is these portraits I took of Kevin Nealon for The New Yorker. This was a story specifically about his YouTube series called Hiking with Kevin.
Hey there, thanks for checking out my channel. My show is called Hiking with Kevin. I'm Kevin, and I am hiking, so it all makes sense so far.
In which he like interviews celebrities while he hikes around with a GoPro and films their interviews. He's an amazing interviewer, super funny guy. And I met up with him on the west side of Los Angeles to take some portraits of him for The New Yorker. We did a beautiful hike together. I shot it all with the GFX and my strobe light. There was actually a couple RZ photos I took, but I didn't even end up using them because the colors out of the GFX were just so sharp, and I really focused my efforts on this camera during this day, and the results are amazing when I actually put the same amount of effort into using something like this as I do into using a film camera. So going forward in this next year, I think you will see a little bit more of this camera on the channel just because it's something I've been enjoying so much personally. That was a really expensive camera. Now I want to talk about some much cheaper cameras that I think every photographer should own. And this isn't one model I'm talking about specifically, but I'm referring more so to cheap point and shoots in general. Here I have an Olympus Zoom 2000 AF. What a name. And in my other hand is a Ricoh RW1 weather resistant. These are cheap cameras that I've thrifted in the past, but you can find this kind of camera on eBay for like $20 to $80 all day. These are just cheap point and shoots with decent enough lenses that you can get really nice photos out of them. These were made in huge numbers for the average family when film was the only thing that was around. And I just don't think that people are taking enough of an advantage of these kinds of things. I see a ton of people shooting with like really expensive Contax cameras. And when those cameras start costing $1,000 or $2,000 for like a simple point and shoot, you lose kind of the purpose of these cameras, which is that you can just throw them in a bag, you can take them to the beach, you can take them out in the rain. And if it breaks, it's not the end of the world. I paid $10 for this one at a thrift store. These are cheap cameras that I throw in my bags all the time to take fun photos that I would miss with a more expensive camera like this one, or in situations where I'm too afraid to take an expensive camera. Because it's 35mm film and the lenses are a decent enough quality, you will get really nice photos out of these if you just point it at the right things. And I think these cameras prove that you don't have to spend more than the price of a few rolls of film to get a camera that takes really nice photos. And instead you can spend that $992 that you saved not buying a Contax to go take a couple trips somewhere and actually find cool things to shoot. Why am I talking about this? I don't know. I just don't think people are using these enough, and people tend to kind of glamorize the really high-end point and shoots when in reality these are going to take photos that are just as nice. I don't think enough people are using these. That's it. Up next, a piece of gear that has been a game changer for me over this past year is the Peak Design tripod. They're not sponsoring this, bought this with my own money, but it is an amazing tripod that folds up so small. I bought the aluminum version because it's half the price of the carbon fiber one, and even this tripod is incredibly light and it literally fits in any bag. Here's my long weekend tote, albeit an early sample. This fits in here. It's amazing. You can carry this thing with you anywhere. You can put it in the glove box of your car and always have a tripod with you. And I've been using a tripod for a ton of my work recently, so I think the Peak Design tripod is something I'm definitely going to be using a ton in this next year. Finally, the last thing I want to share is actually a video camera that I've been using on the channel, and it's the Sony FX3. I bought this FX3 because it fits in a long weekend crossbody. I bought the cheapest 28 to 70 lens. It was like $100. This camera single-handedly inspired me to try and shoot more because of its form factor. It doesn't feel like so much extra friction to carry alongside my main film camera when I'm going out to take photos, and I think that means I'm shooting more video and it looks significantly better. If you watch my New Jersey summertime video, it was shot entirely on this camera. I even mounted this camera to the hood of my car, and it wasn't a problem because of how small and light it was. I just used a simple suction cup mount. It was so stable, the footage looked beautiful, and I'm excited to keep shooting video on this in the next year. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel in the past year, and I'm excited to keep making videos in 2023. That's gonna wrap it up. Finally, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for so many years now, and they've made it so easy to get my website up and running with my photography. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. See you guys next week with another video. Peace.